Hello, welcome to another episode of Everyday Amazing. I am your host, Alton, and as always, I am striving to bring you amazing people with inspiring stories to tell. Tonight is no different. I have a very amazing episode for you. A personal friend of mine. I think you guys are going to enjoy her story. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Everyday Amazing with Alton. Everyday Amazing. Everyday Amazing with Alton. Everyday Amazing. Everyday Amazing with Alton.
Welcome back to the show. I am your host, Alton. And I want to introduce someone very special to me. She's a very close friend. And like I said in the tease, I think she has a very inspiring story. Miss Amanda Hunter Christian, how are you tonight?
I'm good. How are you? Thanks for having me.
I am so happy to have you here. I knew that I was going to have you on the show one day, and I'm so glad that you get to be the finale of the season.
Me too, finally.
So first off, let's jump into, we're gonna cover a lot, but I want to jump into your career and occupation. Okay. As I understand it, you are an estimating engineer. Mm-hmm. So how did you get into that?
So I actually fell into it by chance. I kind of grew up knowing that I wanted to get into construction, and I really loved architecture. So originally I really wanted to be an architect. And when I finally went to college and took an architecture drafting class, I kind of realized this is kind of boring, and basically you're going to be sitting in a cube for hours on end, and I don't want to do this anymore. So I actually took high school wood shop, and we wound up doing a shed building class. And through shed building and like being physically hands-on with building things, I basically was just like, oh, I love this. Like, I love like building things with my hands, and I want to be as involved as possible without actually building it. And so I wound up going into construction management, went to Cal State East Bay, got my bachelor's, and then from there I wound up getting an internship with De Silva Gates Construction. And I originally told them in my interview that I wanted to go into residential because I really liked housing, and they were like, okay, that's great, but we do road work. Like, we do grading and paving. And so from there, I basically was just like, okay, well, let's see how this goes. Like, I'm a quick learner. Let's see how it goes. I'm in my last year of college. So they actually wound up really liking me. I really liked them. And I wound up staying there for my whole internship. And then they decided that they wanted to keep me. But even in my final review, they were like, but you said you wanted to do residential.
So why should we keep you?
Yeah, so why should we keep you? And I'm like, oh, well, I kind of fell in love with it. And I really like what I do. And so they wound up keeping me. And so I kind of fell into it that way. But here I am 10 years later, just celebrated 10 years with the same company. And I still love what I do.
First of all, that's amazing that you are doing something that you love to do.
Thank
and
you.
That you found a passion for it. Something that stands out to me that I want to ask you was like, what did your classes and your internship look like peer-wise? Were there a lot of other women in that class?
No. So I would say even in high school, in our wood shop and building trades and engineering classes in high school, I was one of the only girls, or one of like maybe a handful of girls. And even in college, same thing. Very male dominated. Even at my work, at my office currently, there's 30 of us, and I'm one of 5 females, and I'm the only one actually like within, how do I put it? The other 4 are admins, so they're like our office ladies,
right.
What you would call them. They're way more than that. They're way more useful.
Right. No, I know what you mean.
But I'm like one of the only engineers per se. And then within our company, my boss is one of the only female managers. And then there's maybe 1 or 2 other female project engineers within the whole company. So it's still very male dominated.
Okay, female boss, talk your stuff. All right, I hear you.
Thank you.
Was there ever a point in your career where you got discouraged, where that you being one of the only females in that industry, in that position, was there ever a point in your career where you felt like you wanted to like quit or stop just because of, you know, maybe like respect wise, or just maybe feeling like there's no one else who you can relate to, like, you know?
Um, I would say, I mean, we all have our moments with any job where you're just kind of like, do I really want to keep doing this? Like,
Right.
sometimes you feel like you're overlooked or you feel like you're undervalued. But being a female within the company, I would say no.
Mm-hmm.
I think a lot of that has to do with having a female boss.
Okay.
And I remember when I first started, I always tell this story. She was late one day and didn't tell anybody that she was coming in late. And so everybody was, "Where's Anita? Where's Anita? Oh my gosh, I need Anita." And I sat at my desk and I was listening to all of this. And I'm like, she has really made herself very valuable to this company, like to the point where they like act like they can't do their job without her. And I'm like, I want to be that one day. Like, I want to be that valuable to where they can't do it without me. And so being under her and kind of having that guidance has really helped with me feeling valuable within that sense. And so I guess to a degree, being a female, no. But sometimes feeling overlooked or undervalued, or you say the next person getting the promotion or those types of things, I would say yes. But
Right.
but also being a female too in my industry, my next move would be to go out to the field as a project engineer. But as a female, I have a family now. I'm married. I just had a child. I have stepchildren. So looking at it from a female perspective, do I really want to go out to the field where I would have to work 12-hour days? I'd have to go in earlier and stay later. That's missing time with my family. Whereas, men can typically get away with that. They're the providers. They can,
Right.
and so I had to kind of sit there and be like, do I want to stay in the office and enjoy what I do and have the luxury of being able to make my appointments, take off when I need to for my kids, be there for my family, for appointments, for school activities? Like, in a sense, okay, it's not that bad that I got
Right.
passed up for that promotion
When you
or
think about it that way,
Yeah,
yeah.
exactly.
Life balance, right?
Exactly.
No, that makes sense.
So I still have to value being a woman.
Yeah, no, exactly. No,
Yeah.
I get that. So, we've been talking about your career, and I know you do other things we're gonna get to, but let's just take a look at some pictures of you like in the field and
Okay.
some of your work. So first off, we have Silver Gates Construction. All right.
That's
Now,
my 10-year anniversary picture.
okay, congratulations. All
Thank
right.
you.
Let's see, what else do we have? What's that? What's all them?
Yeah, so typically, so you can kind of see plans right in front of me, and you can kind of see the second page below is colored up. So basically, that's a process that we call linked area, where basically I color the plans digitally, obviously, electronically. But basically, all those colors are individual areas or lengths that we use to quantify how much material we need to build the job, to be able to build the estimate to get the project.
So, yeah, besides your career at the Silver Gates, I understand, having a family, which is already like a lot, right?
Yeah.
You had a full-on career, family, like you just had a son. You also do side projects, right? Like, so I
A lot of
understand
side hustles.
a lot of side hustles. Okay, so like one of the side hustles I understand is hair and makeup.
Yep.
How? First of all, I don't know how you manage time-wise to do everything, and but what I want to ask you is like, how did you get into that?
So makeup, I've always loved doing makeup. I pretty much talked my mom into letting me do makeup in like middle school, high school. Part of that was being on the dance team in high school. So we had to perform and we had to wear makeup to perform. And she saw that I was really good at it and that I looked good in it. I didn't look like a clown. And so I wound up really just practicing. So she finally agreed and bought me makeup. And so I would just started practicing. And then I started doing makeup for fashion shows for a really good friend of mine who had a fashion line at the time and makes clothing and still makes clothing. She needed somebody to do makeup for her fashion shows. And so I was like, I got you. Like,
Right,
I can
right.
do it. And so really got into doing like crazy, elaborate makeup, like just off the wall, like high fashion stuff. And I loved it. I just love the creativity. It goes along the lines of the construction industry.
I was gonna say, and you were working with your hands.
Yeah, I'm
so.
working with my hands, being creative. I get to bring my vision to life and in all of it. So, and then hair. I
That's
know
hands.
we're gonna get into it a little bit later, but I was adopted into a black family, and so I don't do typical hair. I don't do like Caucasian fine hair. I mean, I can cut hair. I know how to style hair. I know, I know the basics. But I specialize in African American hair. I do braids, perms, interlocks, locks. You name it, I can do it basically. And part of that was growing up watching my older sisters do it. And I would just sit there and be like, I love watching this. Like, it's so creative. Like, how do you do it? And I would just sit there for hours and watch them do it. And eventually one night I was playing with my hair in bed, like literally in the dark. And I like did a braid on myself and I like jumped up and we're talking like 10 years old. I'm like, I did a braid, I was so excited. And I just started practicing on all my friends who would let me until I perfected it basically. And then, yeah, it kind of grew from there. And
now, since you mentioned that, you mentioned your fashion. We're gonna go back to the pictures because we are gonna get into like your family background, but I just want to show the audience some of your fashion work and your hair braiding. So we'll take a look at that. We'll pull that up. Okay, I see this. What to explain how this fashion show went down.
So this fashion show actually was for a local clothing store who was owned by a family. And they were in connection with my friend who made clothing. And so they invited her to bring her line onto the fashion show as well. And they were like, hey, we also need models. And so we basically, they had a model call, your typical.
Had you modeled before that?
A couple times before that particular show, yeah.
Got it. Okay.
Like once or twice.
Okay. So
but that was my first time like going outside of just my friend's clothing line and being in multiple sets in one fashion show. So it was really exciting.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Now let's see the.
And that's me as an adult, clearly. That actually, as I got older and went to college and kind of gained my independence, I struggled with weight gain. Obviously, you can see the differences in the pictures. But with that weight gain, I dealt with depression and not looking the same and like those types of things. And so I got to a point one day where I had started following like this boudoir page on Facebook. And I was like, wow, these women are really beautiful. And they preached like body positivity and you're beautiful no matter what. And so I was like, wow, like, I think I might be interested in trying this. And I actually won a free photo shoot from them. And I did it. And I saw myself in a completely different lens and was like, wow, like, I'm actually I'm beautiful. Like,
right.
no matter,
I did that,
like,
right?
yeah, like, I did that. And I'm thick, too. So it's like, and so it was like, wow, like, you really are beautiful. And so it kind of just changed how I saw myself and kind of gave me that wake up call where I'm like, okay, I could really do something with this. And so I started doing my own social media and posting my photos from my boudoir and like my other types of photography and stuff like that. And it actually became a movement where I would get messages from women, thicker women, who would say like, I've been married for 10 years and I've never worn lingerie for my husband because I'm so self-conscious. And I'm like, girl, rock it, like do it.
Right.
And then I would hear back, girl, he loved it, and so it's like I loved being that voice for women who like really felt insecure and really like had challenges seeing themselves through the lens of a camera or through somebody else's eyes or through their husband's eyes,
right?
That kind of thing.
No, that's amazing. We're gonna talk more about it, but before that, we're gonna take a quick break and we'll be right back after these messages.
Everyday amazing with Sky Alton.
I am Tuba Adina Howe, author of Me, Mommy, Mantu. Be sure to watch my episode on Everyday Amazing with Sky Alton.
Amazing with Sky Alton.
Welcome back to the show. I am still here with the very much amazing Amanda Hunter Christian. Now, before we went to break, you were talking about just some of the work that you've done in modeling, and there was a few more pictures I wanted to get to, like within hair. I think maybe like one or two. So let's pull that up.
That head looks familiar.
That head does look familiar, so this is some of your work, okay? Beautiful work, by the way. Looks like it hurt though. It really looks like it hurt.
That's what they say.
Yeah, I believe
tried
it.
to be light.
I believe it. Oh, what do you know? Oh, wow. I don't know how that got in there, but that looks like somebody we know who
I think
also
I cut
models.
that hair too.
You might have cut that hair. You might have cut that hair too. But all right, we can get rid of that. They don't need to know about my past like that. I just wanted to show you that listen, I can do it too. Okay, you touched on your upbringing, and you mentioned you being adopted by African American family. That in itself is a whole story and episode, but so yes. We won't be able to go too deep into it, but I just want to talk about how quick overview of how that happened, and then also just initial what was your upbringing like?
Before or after adoption?
Well, no, after adoption.
Yeah, no. So I will say before adoption, I had a rough childhood. Didn't know it was rough while I was experiencing it because I didn't know any better. But looking back, obviously things were a little rough. My biological mom could not take care of us. She put us in some pretty dangerous situations, and as a result, we were taken from her. And we actually wound up going to another foster home first. And we were there for 2 months. I have two other biological siblings that went into the system with me. And so there were 3 of us. I'm the oldest, and I have a sister and a brother younger than me. And so we went into foster care into another home first. They could not keep us after 2 months because they were moving or whatever. Wasn't the best situation. I mean, you hear foster home horror stories and, things like that. And it was very similar to the things that people would hear. And just one day they told us they were moving and we were going to another family. But I remember being in that first foster home praying and saying, God, just give me a family. Right. I just want a family. I just want to belong to somebody. Right. And lo and behold, next thing you know, found out they were moving and I was happy. I didn't care who I was going to, but I was happy. And so, we wound up going to my mom and my dad's house, Evelyn and Benny Hunter. And my mom had been in the foster care industry probably for, I don't know, maybe 15, 20 years at that point.
When you say industry, what is that?
In the foster care industry. She had raised, by the time she got us, she had raised over 40 foster children.
Wow.
In and out of the system.
Yeah, her on the show.
Yeah, exactly. And she actually had other previous white babies too, believe it or not. So I guess they just didn't discriminate. It was like, hey, you got beds, we got children. And here, you could take them, And I don't think initially when they got us, it wasn't supposed to be something permanent. We were actually their foster kids for 3 years before the talk of adoption came up. Because what they do is they try to place you with family first. But my biological family is very, very small. And so the candidates, the list was very short. And so, she kind of just wound up being with them. And then once they realized that there was no one for us to go to, they were talking about splitting us up and sending us to either different foster homes or different group homes. And my parents were like, absolutely not. And to answer your question, childhood was amazing. I mean, it was your typical childhood. We didn't use the term adopted. We didn't use the term foster kids. We didn't, we would call them Nana and Papa Ben for the first 3 years. But then once we became adopted and it was finalized, that was mom and dad. There was no, I'm adopted. obviously we got the looks like you sure? Like, you sure you're not adopted? But like we would legit like argue with kids at school, like because
That's
I
my
have
mama.
another sister who is African American, who's a year older than me, who was in the foster care system. Like she came to them a year before us, and so we all got adopted at the same time, all four of us. And so it was really special. But we would be at school like, nope, that's my sister. Like, you want to see my birth certificate? Because they change your last name on your birth certificate.
Right.
They give you a new one. And so I was like, her last name is the same as mine. That's my sister. That's my parents. You know, like you couldn't tell us nothing.
Right.
And till this day, if you talk to people we went to high school with or middle school with, they will tell you that legit they thought that I grew up black. But at the same time in school, it's like you weren't, because I was white. Like for the white kids, I was black, and for the black kids, I was white. And so it was kind of hard finding a place to really fit in.
You were almost biracial?
Yeah, right. At one point, I think I told people I was albino just to get it, like, just leave me alone.
Right,
Like,
right.
this is my family. Just leave me alone.
Right.
But yeah, so it was hard finding a place to fit in, but I think that's also why I fell in love with woodshop and dance. It was something that I could be a part of, and nobody cared what my race was. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I mean, I had my friends, obviously, and I had friends that were black, and I had friends that were white. Like my parents basically taught us like race doesn't exist in our household, so why should it exist in the world? Like obviously they're not. You know, they're privy. They know.
Right.
They experienced it. My mom grew up in Alabama. My dad grew up in Arkansas. So they know and they experienced it. But at the same time, they were like, you're ours and we're going to love you no matter what. And so we had the typical childhood. We got kicked out the house on Saturdays, couldn't come back in until the street lights came on, and we took trips, you know, like they just loved us.
I think that's amazing.
Yeah.
And the fact that they work so hard to treat you as equals and make you feel like you were no different than their biological kids, and you know, really try to like shield you as much as possible. As listen, like, because there's only so much you can't control what happens and what kids say like on the outside, right?
Exactly.
Like when you leave the door, but like at home to make you feel loved and that you know this is your home and you know there's no place like it.
Yeah.
I feel like that's just a testament to how much they cared.
Yeah.
You know,
how big their hearts were.
Yeah, how big their hearts were, and like I said, they were in the industry, so it shows that that's just the type of people that they are. They're just
and even to this day, they don't say adopted. Like when my mom sees this, she's probably going to be like, "What in the world?" Because she will tell you, like, oh, "You're what? No." Like you came out of this womb. Like I love you. Like you came out of my womb. Like there is no adoption. You know.
Well, I've met your mom. And,
you know.
And she definitely does talk like that. You know, and so
she gets offended when we use the term adopted. So yeah.
She's an amazing woman.
Yes, she is.
She's an amazing woman. But no, I really wanted to, you know, have you come and share your story because, like I said, I've known you. I've had the privilege of knowing you for years, and you're one of my closest friends, still to this day.
Don't lie, I'm your bestie.
You're one of my besties. All right, you want to have everybody else looking like, hold on now.
Whatever.
But no, I knew you were special from like, you know, when I first met you, like in community college. And by the way, you graduated before I did.
We met before
you know?
Community college, I think.
Did we? No, we were
so.
both going. You were going to Sac City, and I was taking classes at like Folsom Lake and probably Sac City. You know,
I feel like it was probably right before I started, but I
just was in community college longer than you were.
Yeah,
You know?
Yeah, you were.
Way longer than you were, but what matters is I got through it, and you know,
that is all
I have
that
the
matters.
same, you know, the same amount of degrees as you. So you know. But yeah, like I said, I just really think you're an amazing person, and I'm so glad I got to highlight you on my platform.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Before we let you go, we're gonna play this game that I like to do, where we have you pull a card and answer the question, and I may pull one too. I have no control over what card you may get in the question, so it's
middle.
Completely random.
Do I read it or you read it?
You read it.
This is so fitting. How is your family different from others?
I tell you, I have no control over these cards. Like, it's so random.
That
you picked
is
so
funny. Yeah, so my family is different in the fact that we have a lot of races within our family. I'm talking, I have a El Salvadorian brother-in-law. I have a nephew who is Vietnamese and Indian. Um, what else? Obviously, me. I'm white. And then also my family, like my mother is actually multiracial as well. She's Indian, black, and white. And so, yeah, it's just a lot of different cultures meshed together. And we, like, our family is huge. There's like 30 of us. I'm talking parents,
Oh, I know.
children, spouses, and grandchildren.
I've been to some of those.
So
those
yeah, so
gatherings, I know.
Sunday dinners, that's another thing that I think still sets us apart is we still really value family and time spent together and quality time. So my mom still cooks dinner every Sunday, even though we don't go to church no more, but it started out as an after church thing.
Right, yeah.
And so yeah, we still do family dinner, we still do birthdays together, we still do the holidays together. So it's like they still believe in sitting down and sharing a meal together, which is like unheard of these days in today's society.
You're right, because I don't even own a dinner table, so I'll you're right on
yeah,
that.
so yeah, I think that's what makes our family different, and just the fact that we all love each other as if we're all related by blood.
Well, before I let you go, I want to have you give out your socials so people can get styled up, whether it be like makeup or hair, or if they
Absolutely.
just want to follow you and ask you questions about your career, or maybe someone else out there is going into the same field and
Absolutely.
like I said, they're dealing with the same stuff that you dealt with. So we'll have you tell your social medias. Where can they find you?
So you can find me on Instagram, pretty much Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook are pretty much all A Marquita. It is actually my name, Amanda Marquita. So it's AMARKEADA. And then for my hair page, it's Marquita with an H at the end. So MARKEADAH. And then I have a makeup page, but you can probably find that on my personal page.
Okay, all right. Well, I want to thank you again for coming on the show and just sharing your story. Like I said, I'm so happy to just know you and, be close to you and be, one of your closest friends, one of your
Absolutely.
best friends, and like
You
I
were
said,
my best man.
yeah, that's another thing. I was in your wedding.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I always knew that, like I said, I was going to highlight you. But thank you again for coming on the show.
Of course, I really enjoyed it. And I love watching you grow in this industry and watching your shows and seeing the progress for each show. I love when you call me, you're like, what'd you think? So it's been a joy to watch you too and grow in this field.
We'll keep watching because we're only going to get bigger.
Don't forget me though.
I will not. I can't.
I'm still going to do your hair.
To the viewers out there, thank you so much for the support. I hope you have enjoyed this season. Please like and subscribe, leave comments. And I do everything that I do in this season is for the community, and I'm striving to bring you guys different people from different fields, highlighting all the amazing people in Sacramento and wherever, right? So if you know people, definitely reach out to me. I think that's all I have. Thank you so much for the support, and until next time, I'll see you then.
Everyday amazing with Sky Alton. Everyday amazing. Everyday amazing with Sky Alton.